cadred.org. I'm here in the opulent luxury of the VIP room now that we managed to get rid of IGN, so this is what I've been missing out on this entire time. Sofas and everything. I'm here with 3K2 from Siqueiros. They've just played, well, the Source final and the Global Offensive final, lost both times. Let's talk about the Source final first, I think. Were you a little bit disappointed that it wasn't as close as the upper bracket final?
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, that was a stupid question, alright. I guess what I mean is, you know, do you think you could have done better?
Yeah, I think it's hard because we were pretty well prepared for, well, one game on Dust 2. For the second game, it was just clear that they just had more and more strats to pull out. I mean, we'd made some adjustments since ESWC to try and counter what they did, and it worked pretty well. We threw some stupid rounds away and we lost because of that. Then in the final, they just had a whole new set of strats. It just seems like that they just managed to pull off. And,
yeah, we actually mentioned that during the game. It seemed that you had an anti-strat for them on your pistol round, but they anti-stratted the fact you were going to anti-strat them, which is like next level shit. It made, like, literally, you did something unorthodox, yet still they were in the right place to capitalise on it. How do you explain this? Are these guys psychic, or what's going on?
No, I don't think, well, I don't know exactly what you mean, what round it was.
It was the opening pistol when you pushed, you did the CT push, and they kind of came up long.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The CT pistol you did is a lot like their pistol strat, and they seem to know you were going to use their pistol strat against them, kind of thing. That's what I mean. It just seemed so crazy.
I think maybe they've seen us use that strat. We've used it once before, I think, in an official. It was a while ago though. But I mean, I think that was just random. It was more like all the buy rounds in the upper final. We actually managed to push them for every single round, I think. But now they just did new stuff all the time, and we weren't.
So you don't think it was any nerves from any of your players, like when it came to the big stage games?
No, I don't think it was nerves. If it was anything, it was like maybe the disappointment from not winning the upper final. And then we just played a pretty bad half against CRG just before. Yeah. So maybe that also. But I mean, I don't think anyone was that was indifferent from other games. In terms of energy levels and, you know, being able to kind of be awake and alert and having your adrenaline still there, how much did that CRG game take out of you going into the final? You know, I mean, because it was 16-14 and I think it was 15-5 at one point. It looked to be done. Yeah. You looked like you were just going to cruise it. How much did that drain you, like, ahead of the final? I don't think the game as such drained us. Just the waiting, really. I mean, if we'd been forced to wait instead of play, and just, I mean, we hadn't eaten all day, and I think that was, if it was a factor, that would be a bigger factor, because, I mean, playing lots of games, we're used to that, so it's not really a problem. So, we'll move away from CSS, we'll talk about Global Offensive. You did worse in the Global Offensive final than you did in Source one. I mean, I was surprised at that, because, I mean, you guys, obviously, you've been over at Seattle, some of you, and you know, have been involved in the development of the game. The first question, I mean, you weren't taking it that seriously, it didn't seem, or were you? Nah, I mean, for some reason, the GUI for making settings, we couldn't figure out how to take off acceleration, so we basically couldn't aim. I don't know if you saw sometimes when we tried to move around, we just took like 8 turns, and they said they couldn't either, but somehow they just managed to play properly with acceleration. Regnum's been on the phone. Yeah, probably. No, but we asked them, and they said they couldn't take off acceleration either. So I don't know, but the admins didn't know how to do it either. So yeah, we just played because we agreed to. It wasn't really. How many changes have been made to that build of the game compared to the one that you played out in Seattle? Surprisingly few, I think. Well, they're taking out the stun gun, or at least I couldn't find it, which I think is good. Yeah. I can't really remember other big differences. Well, yeah, obviously, if this is how the mouse is supposed to feel, then I don't like it. But I don't think it is. If we couldn't bring up consoles, so we couldn't see what the settings were. What about in terms of gun recoil and things like that? Because one of the things that I think everyone talked about coming out of Seattle was the gun recoil was really unforgiving. It was so brutal. Like, it just
jump up. And did it feel smoother playing this one?
It was really hard to tell when you play with acceleration. So I think spraying with the M4 was still really good. That's pretty much everything I knew. And the auto sniper was, well, you saw we only got round when we started using that. But I mean, from their point of view, the way they played, it seemed like the weapons worked fine. We couldn't figure out how to set it up, but I think it worked decently.
Where were you ultimately? Because when we talked at SWC, you were in two minds about the game and whether you thought it was going to be successful or not. First question is, do you want it to succeed? Second question, do you think it will succeed?
Well, as it felt today, I don't want it to succeed. I like Source better, and preferably I'd say they should just make changes to Source instead, because, well, I really like it. But yeah, it would be nice if it succeeded in the way that it could unite the competitive scenes. Hopefully it will, but yeah, I will have to wait and see when the beta starts, and hopefully you'll be able to configure it properly by then. It's really hard to say something when you haven't properly tested it. We've just played.
Yeah. So you're pretty much cemented now as the second best team in the world in Source, behind VeryGames. You've had many events now where you kind of get into the final and you're losing to them, and I can see Henrik wasn't too happy about it. I mean, what's the next kind of plan? I mean, are you feeling disheartened about losing to this same team? Do you want to go back to the drawing board and look at how you're going to get there, how you're going to beat them? Or do you honestly believe if you keep doing what you're doing at the moment, the win will come?
Yeah, I think if we keep doing what we're doing, we will beat them. I think we should have beaten them in the upper bracket final. It was really minor adjustments from SWC. We just had to look at what they were doing, and it was pretty easy to make it so we felt that we were at least equal to them. And we just need to do it on more maps, really.
Yeah.
And with time, I'm sure we'll be able to beat them.
Okay, well, look, thanks for taking the time to talk to us. Always a pleasure. And all the people out there at Carrot.org, we are going to have more interviews and stuff from i44 here in Telford, so do stay tuned to the website.